Hello and welcome back. So continuing on with the CameraUtilities class, in this video we're going to be drawing circles.
Yeah, we're going to do some circle work. Now, the reason we're going to create a method for drawing circles is because there is no built-in ability to create circles, and I would like to have that. Now, we don't really need to draw circles for our terrain viewer. It was something that I created when I was designing and developing the terrain viewer to help me visualize different patches and where they were being drawn. But I figured you guys would probably like to have this method at your disposal if you needed to draw circles for whatever reason.
Oh, come on, Lee. There might very well be a possibility in the future as we get deeper and deeper into the actual game client itself that we need this ability.
Well, these circles, though, are for editor only. These aren't really drawing the circles inside of the game itself.
No, that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about while we're testing client stuff in the editor, because you still have your play window, and then you may need to do exactly as you've already done. Create circles to help indicate distances for some other reason in the future.
Right. Yeah, I agree. But
such as if you had NPCs wandering around and you wanted to draw circles from them to see a detection radius, or who knows. I mean, it's not just for fun. It very well could be practical in the future, and it was definitely practical to you during the troubleshooting of the terrain viewer.
Well, and it is fun to make circles.
Okay.
So, but we can't draw arcs inside of Unity. We can draw lines, though. So I'm going to bring up Photoshop and kind of do a little diagram to explain how we're going to approach this. So let's go ahead and draw a nice, pretty circle. Let me create a new layer so I don't mess up my background, because I spent so much time making that background. So, but let's say I wanted a nice, big, fat circle. And I'm going to go ahead and we'll stroke this with 4 pixels. So go ahead and turn that off. So this is a nice round circle. We can't really do this inside of Unity, but we can draw lines. So if we got creative with the way we draw lines, let's say we drew a line from here to about here, and I've got nice arrows still. And if we continue to work our way around making up lines, we can approximate a circle.
And the more lines that we have, the more round it will appear.
Right, exactly. And these aren't evenly spaced. So what we're going to do is we're going to create a method that's going to allow us to draw these lines and specify how many segments, so we can determine how smooth this circle is going to look. Now, we can also, if I undo this, one of the things that we want to do is have a sanity check with our segments, because if for some reason somebody goes, hey, I want one segment, that doesn't really look like a circle. That looks more like a straight line.
Or a butt. But yes, it does not look like a circle.
I was thinking Tylenol pill, but that might be because of my headache. But and also if we had 2 lines, so that doesn't make a circle either. That makes a pie. Now I'm hungry.
Great. But now the moment we have 3 lines, enough to close in this area, now we have a triangle. That could be useful.
Right. So you never know when we could use one of those. So we could also do 4 lines.
A square. Are you going to give the ability to rotate this as well?
No.
Okay.
I could, but
no extra. I mean, easy to add in if somebody wanted to.
I don't know if you'd really call that a square. It's an abstract, impressionistic square.
It's a little off, but we'll pretend it's a beautiful square.
Yeah, all right. So, but you'll be able to draw triangles and squares, or pentagons, octagons, and up to as many segments as you really want before you break Unity. So let's go ahead and code that. We'll make a public static.
A prub.
Public Yeah, there we go. How's that? That better?
Much better.
That work for you?
Yes, it does. Thank you.
Cool. So let's call this, I don't know, draw a circle. Again, with the creative naming. Now, we're going to need some variables to control, what our circle is going to look like. One, we'll want to have a position to draw our circle, so that'll be our center. We need to have a number of segments that make up our circle, as we had mentioned. So we're going to have some segments. And then we need to determine how big our circle is going to be. So that will be a radius. And just for you, let's put in a rotation.
Okay.
This will probably bite me, but I like that.
Oh boy.
Yeah. And then we're going to have the ability to have a color. Just because solid white circles get boring after a while.
Okay.
Or plain white. All right, let's do our sanity check. Basically, we're going to check segments, make sure if it's less than 3, then segments will equal 3. So that's just to make sure that for no reason do we get a circle that tries to be drawn with less than 3 lines.
Right.
Now, let's do a for loop, because we're going to have to loop through points. Because if you remember in our diagram, we're defining our shape by a number of points. And this is kind of a bad one, but if I do real quickly, so let's say these are our lines, so it looks like I drew a hexagon, All right, let's say this is 1 point here, and then another point, third, fourth, fifth, and sixth point. What we want to do is look at the center of our circle, which is here, and we want to calculate an angle to this point, an angle to this point, and then we want to use these angles and the radius to determine the x and y components.
Point 1 and point 2.
And point 2. And then we will use that to draw our line. Okay. And then we'll increment to the next point and then figure out this point to that point, increment by 1, then this point to this point, for each and every point for the number of segments that you have.
Okay.
So, and I hit the wrong one. There we go. All right. So we're going to use I as our counter, and we will continue to loop as long as we are less than I is less than segments. And we're going to need a couple of variables to figure this out. We're going to need the first angle, or angle 1 to point 1. To get this, we're going to use 360 because all circles are made of 360 degrees. So we're going to take 360 degrees and we're going to divide that by segments. We're going to multiply that by I, which is going to give us which segment we're on. And then we're going to multiply that by math f dot degrees to radians, because we're going to be leveraging the power of cosine and sine, which expect radians, not degrees. So we'll use that, duplicate this, and we're going to get the second angle, or the angle to the second point, which is going to be pretty much the same equation, except we're going to look at I plus 1. So those will be our 2 angles. Now we need to calculate the points X and Z location for both points. So we're going to have a var x1, and that's going to be equal to math f dot cosine angle 1 times radius, and we're going to take this line, copy it, and we'll do the point for x2. which is going to be the same thing but using A2. Duplicate both of these. Figure out Z1 and Z2, but instead of cosine, we're going to use sine. So everything else should be fine there. Now there's one other thing that we need to do, and that's deal with our rotation, because we want to be able to spin our object based off of a rotation amount. So we'll take our rotation, and then we'll times equal that by mathf dot deg to rad, and we will add our rotation. So let's go ahead and just add it here. Add rotation.
That's multiplication.
Yeah, but if you divide by the same amount, then add afterwards, it comes out the same thing.
True.
All right, so we add our rotation to each one of our angles. So from here, we can simply do a debug dot draw line. We need to figure out our 2 points, so we're going to start at our center plus a new vector 3, x1, comma 0, comma, well, let's use our center, so we'll use, oh no, this is plus, yeah, so plus 0, and then z1. So that gives us our first point. Our second point will be pretty much the same thing. So we'll copy that. But we'll use x2 and z2. And then we will add to that our color. Build it, make sure there's no errors. Now, because this is a draw line, a debug.draw line, this has to be called every update or it won't be drawn.
Right.
Or it'll draw for one frame and disappear. So we'll want to put this inside of our update method for now. So to test it, we'll say draw circle. We'll give it a center of 0. Let's do segments of 2. Let's do 4. I don't want to test the radius check or the sanity check yet. Let's do a radius of 5, rotation of 0, and a color of let's do color dot red. So that'll be our first circle. Take this, duplicate it. Now I want to rotate this by, let's do 45 degrees, just to see if our rotation works. And then I'll make this one, let's go with yellow. Yellow. All right, so yellow. Let's go back over and jump into Unity real quick. Let's see, right now we have absolutely nothing that we'll call this. So let's go to Scene, Train Viewer, open that up. Here's our game manager. Good, good. Now, our main camera should have our CameraUtilities on it. Good. So now we should be able to see it. So we have 2 squares, one of them 45 degrees off from the other one.
Mm-hmm.
So hey, look, the rotation part worked.
You seem to be surprised.
Well, actually, yeah, I am. Well, you know, the way things usually go for me, so. All right. I'm going to set my radius to 4 on that one. Let's go ahead and duplicate this again. And let's go ahead and set our segments up to, let's say, 16. And then we'll do 6. And I think this one shall be blue. And copy and paste this one. Let's go to 7. We'll make this one green. And we'll make this 32.
Very cool.
Yep, except I'm
Uh-oh.
not getting that last segment.
Yeah, I see that now.
Yep, so now I've got to figure out what I missed there. Let's see, does the size look right? Oh yeah, I know why. What happens if you divide by an integer? We need the cast to a float.
Mm-hmm.
Let's try that again. There we go. So you can see with the 16, we can still see the circles being made up.
Mm-hmm.
Even with the 32, you can still see it if you look close. And when you get really close, you can start to see it.
Yeah.
But from a distance...
Yeah, it works great, especially for debugging tools.
Yep. And that's all they are, is just things to visualize what's going on.
That's fantastic.
So now let's test the one last one we haven't done. Let's draw a circle with a single line. There's our triangle.
Yep, very good.
Okay, so everything seems to be working just fine.
Mm-hmm. Outstanding. So the only thing left that you could do at a later date and time, if any of our viewers wanted to, is put an optional final argument in there for the parameter in there for the for a game object. So if it's null, then nothing happens. But if you specify a game object, then it auto parents itself to that game object.
Oh, so you could move it around?
Yeah. So if you wanted to, take one of these and have it automatically parented to Shannon or to an NPC.
Well, the only problem with that is because these are draw lines,
Mm-hmm.
it wouldn't really parent.
Oh, that's true. Yeah, my bad. I'm thinking in La La Land here. Yeah, you're just
we'd
gonna
have to just modify the center position.
Yep, that's correct.
Which is what I was doing when I was debugging.
Mm-hmm.
Is I would pass in here instead of vector 0.
Mm-hmm.
I was passing in Shannon's transforms
Right.
position.
Yeah, that makes complete sense.
And it just followed along with her.
Yeah. Yeah, complete sense. I don't know. Went to La La Land for a second.
And you'll see some code similar to that in the next video when we're looking at drawing a representation of the camera's frustum.
Okay, sweet. So I guess that's going to wrap this video up then.
Yep.
Awesome. Okay, well, thank you guys very much, and we will catch you in the next video.